They say you can never really go home again. But when my grandmother left me the inn she'd poured her whole heart into, I knew I had to try. The Sunset Cove Inn. It was more than just a building. It was her legacy, a place where memories were etched into the very salt-kissed wood. Stepping out of my car, suitcase in hand, I looked at its weathered but charming face. It was home, but a home that had been sleeping for a very long time. As I turned the old, stiff key in the lock, dust motes danced in the slivers of sunlight piercing through the grime on the windows. It was a daunting sight, but it was mine. Just as the weight of it all began to settle, a voice broke the silence. "You must be Ava." I turned to see a man leaning against the doorframe, a tool belt slung casually over his hips, and a smile that seemed to warm the entire room. "I've been keeping the old place standing till you got here." I couldn't help but smile back. "Then I guess I owe you a thank you. And a raise." He chuckled, a warm, easy sound that instantly put me at ease. "I'll hold you to that." That was Jake. And in that moment, I felt the first spark of something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. We started work right away. The days melted into a blur of activity. We weren't just repairing an inn, we were breathing life back into it. We scraped away old, peeling wallpaper, revealing the sturdy bones beneath. We sanded down floors worn smooth by decades of footsteps, our laughter echoing in the empty rooms as we accidentally splattered paint on each other. I'd come here thinking my project was restoring a building, but somewhere between the frustration of a broken pipe and the satisfaction of a freshly painted wall, I realized I was restoring myself too. The city, with its relentless pace and hollow promises, had chipped away at me. Here, with the scent of sawdust and the ocean breeze, I was slowly becoming whole again. And then there were these moments, these tiny, charged seconds that hung in the air between us. Our hands would brush as we lifted a heavy plank, and a jolt of electricity would linger, making my breath catch. One afternoon, while we were fixing a shutter, he caught me staring out at the ocean. He just stood there for a moment, watching me. "Careful," he said, his voice soft. "Or you'll make me believe in fate." I turned, a smile playing on my lips. "You don't already?" His eyes, the color of the sea just before a storm, held mine. "Not until today." The world seemed to shrink, leaving just the two of us, until the screech of a gull broke the spell and we awkwardly returned to our work, the unspoken words hanging between us. But just as things started to feel simple, the past decided to make an appearance. A storm rolled in one evening, trapping me inside. Driven by a strange curiosity, I found myself in the dusty attic. A loose wall panel caught my eye. Tucked away behind it was a small wooden box. My grandmother's handwriting was on the lid. "What are you hiding, Grandma?" I whispered. Inside, I found a stack of old letters and photographs. My heart stopped when I saw one particular photo. My grandmother, young and vibrant, her arm linked with a handsome young man who looked eerily like Jake. The past has a way of echoing through the present, but I wasn't ready for what it was about to say. Later that night, with the rain lashing against the windows, I confronted him. The easy warmth between us was gone, replaced by a tense, heavy silence. I held up the photograph. "Why didn't you tell me you knew my grandmother?" He wouldn't meet my eyes at first. When he finally did, they were filled with a pain that mirrored my own confusion. "Because," he said, his voice strained, "I didn't want the past to ruin what we were building." His answer hung in the air, a truth that was also an evasion. I felt a wall go up, a cold defense against the hurt and betrayal. I had let him in, and now I felt like I was standing in the ruins of something I didn't even understand. The storm outside eventually cleared, but the one inside me raged on. A few days later, Jake found me on the porch. He didn't say much, just asked me to walk with him. He led me down to the beach, where he'd set up a simple dinner. Candles flickered in jars, their light dancing on the waves that glowed in the moonlight. "I thought we could use a reset," he said softly. "Just you, me, and the ocean." I wanted to stay angry, to hold on to my hurt, but looking at his earnest face, I couldn't. You're impossible, you know that? A small smile touched his lips. Only for you. And as we shared dinner, with the sound of the waves as our soundtrack, we talked. Really talked. The walls came down, and beneath the vast, star-filled sky, we shared a kiss. And for the first time in a very long time, I wasn't afraid to feel something real. The next morning, I was in the office, sorting through a mountain of old paperwork when I found it. A folder of renovation contracts. They were all signed by Jake, and they were all dated before my grandmother passed away. The air rushed out of my lungs. He wasn't working for me. He'd been working for her all along. When he walked in with coffee, my voice was barely a whisper. You were working for her, not me. He set the mugs down, his shoulders slumping. She hired me to restore the inn because she knew one day you'd come home. She wanted it to be ready for you. He took a breath, his eyes heavy with unshed tears. Ava, your grandmother. She saved my family once, a long time ago. I owed her everything, but I stayed because of you. You could have just told me, I said, the words choked with emotion. And risk losing you before I even had the chance to be honest? I was a coward, Ava. I'm sorry. I turned away, my heart a tangled mess of hurt, forgiveness, and a love that was more complicated than I ever could have imagined. Weeks passed. The inn was finally finished, no longer a sleeping relic but a place glowing with life. Guests filled the rooms, their laughter mixing with the sound of the ocean. I stood on the newly painted porch, watching the sun dip below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. I finally understood. Love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone who's willing to rebuild with you, one broken piece at a time. I heard footsteps behind me and turned to see Jake, holding 2 cups of coffee. He stood beside me, our shoulders almost touching, and followed my gaze to the sunset. Still think you can't go home again? He asked quietly. I looked from the vibrant sky to his warm, steady eyes and smiled. Maybe home isn't a place. Maybe it's a person. He leaned in and kissed me, and as the camera of my memory pulled back, the Sunset Cove Inn gleamed in the golden light, a testament to second chances. Love found me where I least expected it. In the quiet rhythm of the waves, in the scent of fresh paint, and in the eyes of a man who helped me rebuild so much more than just an inn. It taught me that our pasts don't have to define our future, and that sometimes the most beautiful things are built from the pieces we thought were broken. If you believe in love that heals, rebuilds, and endures, I'd be so grateful if you'd like this video and subscribe to the channel. Share this story from Sunset Cove with someone who needs a little reminder that it's never too late to find your way home. Thank you for watching.